What's up, Timmons here. With Together coming out this week, I'm of course doing my review, doing my top 10 favorite Dave Franco movies because I think Dave Franco is great. His brother to James is pretty good too. I know he's a little canceled, really, but Dave Franco I still quite enjoy. I think he's always good every time he's in stuff. He could do comedy, thrillers, and all. So here is my official top 10 favorite Dave Franco movies. All right, coming in at number 10 is actually mostly a directing film he did, and that's a film called The Rental. This movie came out around back in 2020 during the height of the pandemic and all, and obviously the years was opening, so I decided to give this one a go back in 2020. Really good little thriller. You of course have his wife Alison Brie. You also have like Jeremy Allen White, who's right now pretty big thanks to this was actually before The Bear made him more popular. And the film is about these two couples, Charlie and Michelle, and Josh and Mina, who rent a vacation home for a weekend getaway. And tensions rise due to personal conflicts and suspicion about the creepy property manager. It is really interesting, a really decent little thriller. Sadly, the movie did get released around the pandemic, so it didn't really have much of a release at the time. But it was still pretty decent. If that movie had came out today, it probably would have been released by maybe like Neon or something like that, or A24, but sadly got released at around that time. But it is a really decent little thriller worth giving a go. Alright. Now he also directed another film like last year that is not really in my top 10 lists here, but it's that movie with his another Alison Brie movie called Somebody You Should Know. He actually has a really knack for directing. Anyway, coming in at number 9 is a little horror film that many people probably ever heard of, called The Shortcut. You might not know this, by the way. Like, when you think of... Crazy to believe this is actually produced by Adam Sandler. That's right. Adam Sandler actually was a producer on a horror film. This was actually a different company he did called Scary Madison, which I don't think Scary Madison doesn't even do anything anymore, but The Shortcut was directed by the same guy who directed Grandma's Boy, and he recently put out that little comedy last year, Drugstore Jane. Now this movie also has like Katrina Bowden, who's always amazing, and it's about a high schooler named Derek who discovers a creepy shortcut through the woods near like an abandoned house, and he and his friends investigate here, and they uncover rumors about sinister old men and missing kids linked to the path here. Franco plays like Mark, one of Derek's friends, and that joins the group exploring the shortcut. This was one of like Franco's earliest roles here, and it is a really decent little horror film worth giving a go. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember really digging it, and I was surprised to know that Sandler was a producer on this. I was like, I never before this, I never even knew that Adam Sandler ever done a horror film. Like, granted, he didn't star in it or anything, but it was really cool to see that he even produced a horror film here. You also had people like Andrew Seeley was also in this. You also had like Shannon Woodward and all. It is a really decent little horror film worth giving a go. Alright. Coming in at number 9 is Nerve. Nerve is a really decent little thriller from the directors of the Catfish documentary. You also have like Emma Roberts was in this. It's about a shy high school senior, V, who joins Nerve, an online game where players compete dares for cash and fame here. And, Franco's character is Ian, this mysterious and charming Nerve player who becomes V's partner. Nerve is a lot of fun. It didn't really get the recognition it deserved at the time, but it is a really entertaining one worth giving a go. The chemistry between Dave Franco and Emma Roberts is pretty good. You have Juliette Lewis was also in this. Miles Helzer from Dirty Reese's Y fame. Machine Gun Kelly was even in this one as well. It is a really fun one, worth giving a go. It is really entertaining. Highly recommend that one there. Alright, number 7 is Love Lies Bleeding. Love Lies Bleeding, of course, came out last year. Probably one of like Dave Franco's best performances. It is like more different than I've seen Franco pull off here. If you guys don't know much about the story, it is set in the 1980s New Mexico gym, uh, where of course the gym manager Lou fights hard for Jackie, who's this bodybuilder passing to her town here. Franco's character is Lou's abusive brother-in-law and a low life criminal. He like his character's like his performance here is very chilling. He portrays the role very very sleazy and all. I kid you not. I even think Franco could have easily gotten some sort of award recognition for this because he was that good here. Very scary at times. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen Dave Franco play this type of role before, and he really nailed it out of the park. All right, number 6 is Fright Night. Now, this is of course the remake, the remake of Fright Night from 1985 here. Of course, the remake of Fright Night stars like Colin Farrell, Anton Yelchin. You got Franco who plays Mark, who's a high school bully, and Fernando Charlie's rival. He's a sports. His role is like very small here, but he does play the part very well. It is of course about a teenager played by the late Anton Yelchin, who suspects that his new neighbor Jerry, played by Colin Farrell, is a vampire responsible for local disappearances. And Franco, he definitely has the horror stuff down well. I just checked out Together, great there. He is a really cool actor in the horror sphere, and here he still lots of scenes here, and really good little performance there. All right, number 5 is The Little Hours. The Little Hours is the R-rated nun comedy directed by the late Jeff Albiana, who was of course Aubrey Plaza's husband, who tragically passed away early this year. Now this also stars Dave Franco and his real life wife Alison Brie. And it's where like Masato, Franco plays a character named Masato, a charming but desperate servant fleeing his former master, and he does some really fun comedic parts here. Great chemistry with his on-screen wife Alison Brie. If you guys don't know much about The Little Hours, it is set in the medieval Italy, and it's a raunchy comedy that follows a rebellious nuns who indulge in forbidden desires and defy their strict priests. You have John C. Reilly, Molly Shannon was in this. The Little Hours is awesome. It's one of the most underrated, underappreciated comedies there is. It is really hilarious. Highly recommend that. Alright. Number 4 is Now You See Me. I was not a fan of the sequel, but hopefully the part 3 will be better. But the first Now You See Me is a really good one. Here of course you got Dave Franco who plays Jack Wilder, the youngest horseman, a sleight of a hand expert, and a lock picker here. And of course, this is where like 4 talented magicians known as the Four Horsemen are recruited by a mysterious figure to pull off an elaborate heist disguised as magic shows. And Now You See Me is a really fun heist film. It definitely has a fun lash to it. You of course have like Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Morgan Freeman. Franco steals lots of scenes here. Obviously, he is coming back for part 3 coming out this year, so there's that. Alright. Coming in at number 3 is 21 Jump Street. Now, he did have a little fun cameo in 22 Jump Street, but spoiler alert, his character here, who's Eric Molson, ends up going to jail, and well, his cameo in 22 Jump Street was him in prison. I actually still prefer 22 Jump Street. That movie is still hilarious. But here, of course, you have Dave Franco as Eric, who's the school jockey and popular drug dealer. And it is really a lot of fun. Of course, he is one of the teens, one of the high schoolers who actually sells this drug that both Smith and Janko, are trying to seize and stuff. The first 21 Jump Street I love. It's just so entertaining. Jonah Hill, who of course Jonah Hill and Dave Franco worked together in the first Superbad. That Superbad is great too. But yeah, they both really play off each other. Like, both Hill and Dave Franco really play off each other well here. Like they had some fun moments. But it's majority of it is moments between him and Jonah Hill's Smith. I mean, they really just are hilarious together here. I mean, 21 Jump Street just has fun. Really hilarious. Highly recommend that one. Alright. Number two is Neighbors. Now, the movie is directed by Nicholas Stoller, who, by the way, speaking of Dave Franco, I will be amiss if I didn't say how great his cameo was in the studio. Of course, he just got an Emmy nomination for his guest appearance in that. He was so awesome in the studio. But anyway, as for Neighbors, he also had like a little cameo in Neighbors 2. Funny how he ended up only having cameos in the follow ups. He only just had a cameo. Like he returned for both 22 Jump Street and Neighbors 2, but it was only just like a small part. But of course, here you got Mac and Kelly Renner, played by Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, who is a young couple with a newborn who moves to a suburb for a quiet life. And of course, their light piece is shattered when like this fraternity led by Teddy Sanders, played by Zac Efron, moves next door. And this is so hilarious. Of course, Dave Franco plays Pete, who's Teddy's loyal frat brother and second command. I always quite like the chemistry between Zac Efron and Dave Franco. They both play off each other perfectly here. Of course, Dave Franco's character, also goes with Teddy's, girlfriend as well. So, yeah, it's actually a lot of fun there. I mean, I just love the first Neighbors. The sequel's actually good too, but the first Neighbors is still hilarious. It is a really fun one. And my number one favorite Dave Franco film is The Disaster Artist. Of course, here he plays Greg Sestero, who's of course the main actor from one of the most terrible films of all time, The Room. This is of course directed by Dave's brother James Franco. They've actually worked together here and there before, but The Disaster Artist is excellent. It is of course based on Greg Sestero's book, chronicles the making of The Room, which is a notoriously bad classic movie here. And Dave Franco is excellent in this. He really plays his part very well. Obviously, his chemistry with James Franco's Tommy Wiseau is good. He really even resembles Greg perfectly, too. It is a really fun one worth giving a go. And that's pretty much it there. Here is my quick rundown. 10, The Rental. 9, The Shortcut. 8, Nerve. 7, Love Lies Bleeding. 6, Fright Night. 5, The Little Hours. 4, Now You See Me. 3, 21 Jump Street. 2, Neighbors. And number 1, The Disaster Artist. Now, there's other ones I probably could have added too. He's done some other stuff with like his brothers, but they're not really memorable. Greenberg, he was in. Milk, which also had James Franco. Superbad. I always keep forgetting he's a Superbad, to be honest with you. Warm Bodies, he was in. The Lego Movie. Unfinished Business with Vince Vaughn. 6 Balloons. And Beale Street Could Talk. Day Shift with Jamie Foxx. Day Shift was pretty fun there too. But yeah, he's been some really great stuff over the years. But let me let you guys. What are some of your favorite Dave Franco movies? And a little bonus question: who do you actually prefer? Do you prefer James Franco or Dave? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Tim signing out.